Welcome back to the Romance Class YouTube channel and our series featuring the audio edition of my book Iris After the Incident, narrated by Rachel Coates. Head over to romanceclassbooks.com for more romance by Filipino authors. Content warnings are mentioned in Chapter 1 and are included in the description for this video.
Chapter 9. Do you like watching yourself? When I moved quite suddenly from marketing to spreadsheet, database, generally unseen person, I found strange comfort in the database of scholarship applications. At first, Miley and Carl went through every form. This entire foundation was a sibling pet project, and they started by convincing their family to put up the beginnings of the fund. Later, when that wasn't enough, they figured out how to involve corporations, other science orgs, other rich families, to help keep the fund going and send young women interested in science and math to college and beyond. The team grew because there were a lot of applicants, many who would go the distance on this if given a chance. When I interned for them in college as a management and development major who hadn't really figured out what she wanted to do, I saw those applications come in, but only printed them out and filed them. After the incident, it became my job to read them. There were internal guidelines to make the long list for any given grant per year, and sometimes the guidelines were different depending on who was giving the money and the kind of student they wanted to support. I went through transcripts, documentation of family finances, and essays. Oh, those essays! It was hard to tell what I'd end up reading on any given workday, but I looked forward to those essays. We didn't judge them on literary merit, but we did ask them to say something about themselves, what they intended to do, and why use this particular path to do it. On some days, I'd get a confused, awkward mess, and I'd need to work harder to find the message behind it. On other days, I'd be moved to tears, and I'd wish the powers that be give her all the money she asked for. Sometimes the essay questions were different, depending on the grant. Sometimes, as I printed them out and prepared them for review of my bosses and the donors, I imagined writing these essays about myself, explaining myself. Why didn't you let your then boyfriend take the fall for you, Iris Lenlarioka? Please state your answer in 500 words or less. When I was growing up, I was taught to always tell the truth. Still, I wasn't the easiest person to raise. I was a child who was always getting yelled at. I didn't put things back, never wanted to go where they wanted me to, wasn't ready on time. I was difficult, but I never lied. I didn't blame Bradley for all of this because it felt wrong. The sex was consensual. The decision to record it was, too. I understood that the truth could be painful, but it was also better. I saw it in my brother's life, and I was ready to believe that if ever I needed to choose. And yet, those who raised me to do this were the first to tell me to give it up, to save their own faces. Why are you still in town then, making it difficult for them who are ashamed of you now, Iris Lenlarioka? Please state your answer in 500 words or less. Exile was the path Bradley took. I knew that most of my family wanted me to do the same. I wish it had been for me, because I would be safer, happier, elsewhere. But I knew that my welfare was the last thing on their minds. Why did you take a video of yourself having sex, Iris Lenlarioka? Please state your answer in 500 words or less. This, I didn't even need a dozen words on. I didn't know. That was a hell of a lot of consequences to bear for something I didn't know or was unwilling to understand. We regret to inform you that you did not receive this grant at this time, I told myself, giving my answer the standard rejection. But don't give up. You can always try again. That last part was never in the letters, but I thought that for them every time. I don't know. What would you have done as a second date? Gio and I were already at a milestone in our strange little experiment. We were together, outdoors, and right at the entrance of the mall in the Envy Park complex. I worked a slightly earlier shift that Friday so we could meet at a decent dinner hour, and there we were, at 8 in the evening, looking at Enter Here, like it was a monster's mouth that was going to swallow us up. I wish I had worn something nicer. I was in the same black and white striped dress I had gone to work in, and only stopped by my apartment to switch bags, brush my hair, and add a layer of cologne to myself. He looked great in jeans and a dark blue shirt, the collar of a subtle V revealing just enough down his throat that I knew what I was going for the first chance I got. A movie, Gio said. I'd ask you out to a movie. That sounded like something normal people would do. Let's do that, I said. There were 2 movies we were right in time for. A Filipino romantic comedy and an American horror movie that had a horrible poster. He pointed to the rom-com, and I pointed to the horror movie. Cute, I told him. Now let's try this again and be honest. Our fingers switched posters. Gio was laughing. When he laughed, most of his distracting eyes hid behind lids and lashes. Oh, how do we settle this? It doesn't matter which one, really. Well, if you don't care anyway, there's a guy in the Pinoy movie that I don't like. Former friend of yours? Not at all. Always hated his guts. His hand closed around mine. It was warmer than when we last touched digits. Or maybe because I was smiling this time, and he could see me. I wondered what I looked like when I was smiling. I didn't have anything like those eyes of his to distract people with. Holding hands would have been nothing. For those few minutes and throughout the movie, they were everything to me again. You couldn't have quizzed us on what the movie was about. Instead, it was an hour of various stages of handsiness. His right hand and my left together on the armrest between us. Later, pinkies hooked, backs of hands resting against each other, then his right hand on my back, slowly going up, then down, on a path parallel to the zipper on my dress. The movie idea was a joke, but I was in on it. I leaned back into his hand and turned my head to find his mouth. Good thing he didn't care about the movie either, because he kissed like he didn't want to know where the vengeful ghost was going to pop up next. The theater wasn't even full. Not that many people cared either. But I bet the others inside weren't kissing like we were. I bet they weren't kissing like they literally hadn't kissed anyone else in at least a year, like they were making up for other second dates, other movie makeout sessions missed, other random Friday nights they could have been kissing someone else but weren't. God knows. I was zipping right through all the kisses I deserved in November, December, January, February. I'd never made out in a movie theater before. It wasn't as dark as I thought it would be. Didn't offer the kind of cover and privacy I thought it would. But that wasn't the point, was it? You didn't pay money to sit in a seat and grope someone in surround sound. You kissed your date in there because you couldn't wait to get out. Couldn't take sitting that close, the smell of him mixed with a faint popcorn scent. Couldn't take that your hands had nowhere else to go but on each other. Gio paused to breathe. You like kissing? I didn't even need the break. You're not bad at it. Thanks. Why did we stop? Do you want to get out of here? Oh my God, yes. Let's get out of here. Easy to say, easy to do. But it wasn't cut to my apartment taking his clothes off. In reality, it was 5 minutes of individually retreating to the cinema bathroom to make ourselves presentable, fix rumpled clothing, comb through mussed hair. Then meeting again, in front of the bathrooms, looking about as sheepish as teenagers who've been caught making out at a movie. It was so cute, though. Sheepish was a feeling I still got, but never tried to show to other people anymore. Trying to be strong and unaffected about everything took away little emotions like this. Gio had an oh shit smile on his face, and it was adorable. I can't believe we did that. Can't believe we did what? I'd finished the movie I was making out to, at least. I giggled. Life's too short. I agree with you there, he said. Do you want to go back home? Home. Right. Let's take the long way back, I told him. I want to ask you a few things before we end up home. The long way wasn't to go back the way we'd come in and cross the street to the residential towers. It was a route that I'd created, and I didn't expect him to know it, but he followed me out anyway. This is how I go to the field, he said, especially when it's raining. There was a way to go around all of NV Park without stepping out into the sun or rain, but it was circuitous and complicated. But at least you could go anywhere and get home despite the elements. It was also, tellingly, a path that avoided many open spaces, chances to be recognized. Are we crazy? Oh. I placed a hand over my mouth after I said that, because in my mind, it was, am I crazy? And I wasn't supposed to include him at all. Are you chickening out? He answered, a little too quickly. Because I'm not. Why? Why am I not chickening out? Why are you asking this? Because it seems like I'd be the wrong person for you right now. Are you kidding me? I wasn't. He realized I wasn't. You're wrong if you think I'm going to be scared off by that, by what happened to you. Is this the first date you've been on since your incident? I guess it is, yeah. Is this the first time you've been physical with someone since your threesome? Yes, but we can't rebound with each other. It's not right. It's not right to find the person who has the worst breakup story and then rebound with them. Hey. Gio was suddenly catching up to me because I inadvertently began walking faster, like away from him. Stop. Back up. We'll talk about this. Can I object? No, I will anyway. Okay. This is the first time you kissed someone since your thing? Yeah, I admitted. But yours was 2 years ago. Yours was more recent. Yes, and that was my rebound, Iris. I got out of that thinking, shit, this is insane. And I don't need this or any of those people for a good long while. My family, I love them, but damn, they're the stuff of TV dramas, and I wanted to be the different one. Of course, the only time I really fuck up and it gets on the news. I'm sorry, that part of my life is over. I quit my job because I worked with them. I moved here because I lived with them. Les I hadn't seen in a long time, but Vanna tried to keep in touch and I said we shouldn't. I didn't date. I didn't sleep around. It's a year later and I'm alive. It took a while to make sure I was fine with it, but I needed to make sure I could live without that shitstorm. Do you think a year isn't long enough to realize things? Oh, God. So many things. So many questions leading to more questions. How could he just do that? Why did it take me so long? What was his secret? I want you, he said. And I don't want to hurt you. I am in for whatever you're ready for. What is it you're really asking me? You can be honest with me. I wanted to be. I told myself I would be, but it was hard. It's that, be honest. You can do it. You already know the worst thing I've ever done. I want to sleep with you tonight, I blurted out. And I don't want you to wake up thinking it was your worst anything. Oh my God, I said it. My fingers covered my lips, covered the sheepish smile that was forming there. He took that cover away and pressed a kiss on my smile. Is that it? Gio said. I can assure you, that's not going to be a problem at all.
That was Chapter 9 of Iris After the Incident, narrated by Rachel Coates. Text and production copyright by Mina v. Esguerra. In this chapter, Gio and Iris watch a movie, which makes me want to recommend flipping the script by Danice Mae P. Sison, a young adult romance set in the world of Filipino filmmaking. Link in the description.